Sabaidi Pinong. Today I'll show you how to make namtuk. This is a delicious, spicy, sour steak salad. It's also known as waterfall beef, named after the delicious drippings that come from the meat while it's being cooked. Let's get started on the ingredients. I want to show you how to make this. So let's talk steak. You can use cuts like ribeye or New York strip. Those are really great cuts. And we'll need about 2 pounds, a little less for this recipe. But if you want to use a cheaper steak, that is totally fine. Trust me when I say that you can have a great steak without spending a lot of money. You could buy the best steak, have the best marinade, and cook it perfect. And if you don't cut it against the grain, it won't be tender and soft, but it will be chewy. So what you want to do is take your steak and identify which way the grain is running. You see these lines here. Now what you'll do is you'll cut perpendicular to the grain, which is going to be an opposite cut. This is going to cut through the muscle tissue, leaving your steak so tender. We'll also use vegetable oil for frying, Golden Mountain seasoning sauce, you could sub soy sauce, filtered fish sauce, unfiltered fish sauce, Padaek, MSG, this is optional, you could use salt. We'll use a lime for the juice, so I like to choose a really juicy one. Shallot, fresh green onion, fresh mint, fresh cilantro, and black peppercorn, or just the black pepper powder. Dried chili flakes and kaukua. If you don't know how to make kaukua, which is a toasted rice powder, check out my video. And fresh Thai peppers. I get these from my mother-in-law and I store them in freezer Ziplocs in the freezer. They last way over a year. We're also going to use a mortar and pestle, a shallow bowl, some gloves, and here's your reminder, soak your sticky rice because that's what we're going to eat our namtuk with. I give my lime and all of my herbs a really good wash. Just remember that any bacteria that's on the outside of your lime will make its way inside when you slice. So I give it several washes to get rid of all that dirt and junk, and then I set it aside to drain and dry off. So while we're waiting for that, we're gonna get started on marinating our steak. So I place my steak in a shallow bowl, add the Golden Mountain seasoning sauce, and then make sure that the full steak is really covered in that sauce. The shallow bowl allows for more of the meat to be submerged in sauce. We'll go ahead and let that marinate. Overnight is best, but I only did it for 15 minutes and it was just fine. I crushed down my black peppercorn to a coarse grain, sliced my lime in half. I destem and slice my Thai pepper. I like mine long ways because I think it looks a lot prettier, but you could do it in coins. I peel and slice my shallot into thin slices. I remove the roots of my onion and discard those and slice those in very thin slices. You could do the coin slice or the long slice, whichever you prefer. Next, I'll destem my cilantro. You could throw the stems away, but I like to save mine for gel som. Check out my video for that recipe. Then I give my cilantro a rough chop. Next, I pluck my mint leaves and discard the stems. And coming back to the steak. So I'll turn the steak just to give it one more coat. I like to sprinkle MSG on both sides of the steak. Don't use too much because it is salty. Then I take my black peppercorn that we crushed down and I put that on both sides of the steak as well, rubbing everything in to make sure that we have a great even coat. Oh, this already looks fantastic. So I place my pan on medium heat. I add some vegetable oil. You could substitute olive oil or an oil of your choice. And then I lay those steaks down in the pan. I set my timer to 4 minutes exactly. Once we've cooked for 4 minutes, I go ahead and flip. And these steaks have a great char, and I cook for another 4 minutes. This is gonna give me a medium rare cook, and that's exactly what I suggest. Once both sides have cooked for 4 minutes each, I will cook the edges of the steak on all 4 sides for about 45 seconds. Now, if you're wondering, how do I get this amazing char? And if you have problems getting char, the best advice that I can give you is put the steak in the pan and leave it alone. The more you mess with it, the more you're messing with the char. And we want that char because it's extra flavor. Place your cooked steak in a bowl and allow that to set for 10 minutes to maintain the juiciness. So you can see here, I set my timer to 10 minutes. And while I'm waiting, I am cleaning up. My mom always taught me to clean as you cook. This is your opportunity to exercise patience. So just clean the stove top. You can clean up the kitchen, wash your dishes, and get your sticky rice on the stove so that that's ready when our nam tuk is ready to be eaten. And as a reminder, please like and subscribe and check out the ingredients and measurements below the video. Look at that juice. Hold the juice, don't throw it away. We're gonna use that. Now what we're doing here is cutting against the grain. So once we've identified where the grain is, just cut perpendicular to that. And it's gonna create this fall off the bone, super tender, really easy to chew steak. You can see right there how easy it was to pull that steak apart. And we have a beautiful medium rare. We want the outside to be charred and we want the inside to still be pink. So we'll go ahead and add our sliced steak to the bowl and throw those delicious drippings on top. That's really gonna help us maintain the moisture and boost the flavor. Add our calcua, our dried chili flakes, give it a mix. Then you can use lime. I use a full lime, use more or less depending on your preference for a sour taste. You could also use sugar. I chose not to, but you could use white sugar or palm sugar. I throw in some green onion and hold back just a little bit for topping at the end. Throw in my shallots, give that another really good mix. We wanna make sure everything's well coated. Put on our Padaek, our fish sauce. Once again, we're mixing and now it's time for the herbs. So we throw on our handfuls of mint, cilantro. You can use as much mint or cilantro as you prefer. It's really preference. I think mint is just cool, it's refreshing. I love it, so I use a lot. We can then plate the mixture and then I'll add a little bit more of the cilantro and mint to the bowl along with the rest of our green onions and those beautiful sliced Thai peppers. And you can top it with a little bit of extra calcua just for a little bit more flavor and because it's so beautiful. And that's it, easy, simple nam tuk. I like to eat this with sticky rice, but really you could eat it all on its own, hot or cold. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe. Cup chai.